Hey guys, James here from eBassGuitar, and I'm here to talk to you today about how to play triads, how to play arpeggios, and how to play chord tones on the bass. So if you want to learn how to play this, or you're confused about what the exact differences are between these three devices, please check this film out right at the end. Hey guys, James here from eBassGuitar.com, and I'm here to talk to you today about the differences between triads, arpeggios and chord tones. These are three devices which in essence are very, very similar, and players often get confused exactly what they are and how they differ. So I'm going to take you through how I interpret these three devices and how I practically apply these three devices to my playing every time I go out and gig. So let's talk about arpeggios first of all. The literal definition of an arpeggio is a broken chord, okay? A chord is more than one note at a time. So we can get 2-note chords, I'll play you one here, okay? We can get 3-note chords, 4-note, 5-note, and on it goes. If you're a piano player, I guess you can have up to 10 notes going on. Our common amount of notes in a chord is 3, okay? And those 3 notes relate directly to the scale. So more often than not, to create our fundamental major chord, so say like a C major chord, we used the root, the 3rd and the 5th of the scale. So let me take this up. So a C major scale, so that would be a C, an E and a G. Okay, so if we were to put down a C major chord, that would be a C. Okay, I'm going to put the E up there and I'm going to put the G there, so we can get a chord like that. So I'm voicing this with the root, the 5th and the 3rd. We could do it root, 3rd, 5th like that, or same. Okay, so that is the notes which make up a chord. So let's take this back to the initial thing that we were talking about, which is triads, okay? I'm going to put this into G major now. So we're going to use the root, the 3rd and the 5th here. So we're going to do G, B and D, okay? So the G, the B and the D is what we call a triad, okay? So that's 3 notes. You can have a thing called a dyad too. I remember one of my first ever guitar books that I've read was talking about dyads, which are 2-note chords. That's not an expression you hear very much, but triad is 3 notes. So, and a triad will normally just work within 1 octave. So those 3 notes like that. Okay, so we can play major triads, minor triads. Okay, so they're all triads. So we then get this term arpeggio, and an arpeggio is a direct extension of a triad. And how I think about this, it is the device, the technique, which then starts taking a triad into the next octave up and sort of lets us permeate the rest of the neck. So let me demonstrate with this one. So this is root, 3rd, 5th, and then we will hit the octave like this. Okay, and this is a great start. These are great ideas to start creating your own bass lines from, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how to do that in just a second, because guys like Bach back in the 1700s or so, if you listen to their bass lines, they're arpeggios all over it. Now these arpeggios, we can then start creating variations upon this. So we could have a major 7th arpeggio, so root, 3rd, 5th, the major 7 like that. Okay, we can take that into the 2nd octave. Okay, so these can be great devices to start creating bass lines from. They're not just technical exercises. So what I've got here is I've got the Great iReal book app where we can stick chord sequences in there, and I'm just going to start creating some bass lines over a pop feel here, and you can hear that the backing is actually an arpeggiated thing that the piano is doing. Okay, this is a purely sort of digital creation software creating this, so it's not the most realistic. It's nowhere near like playing with a real band, but what it will do is it will give you a sense of the harmony, which is really useful. So I'm going to start creating some bass lines just using arpeggios, so a G major arpeggio. So you can see the arpeggio in action. So let's go for it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear that real strong arpeggio thing there, and I could almost feel myself wanting it to break into Midnight Hour, the old soul tune. Okay. In fact, those are triads because they're not literally hitting. They're literally not hitting the next octave up. Okay. So that's how I use triads and the difference between a triad and arpeggio. So we can practice, as I said, arpeggios as literal technical exercises, or we can make them into more musical devices that we can use in our playing. So the next term that I wanted to bring into the mix is this idea of chord tones. This is a term which in, I guess, music education at the moment is a pretty it's a bit of a buzzword, but in reality it's been around years. I mean, players like Carol Kay from the 60s and 70s, they were big into this idea of chord tones, and chord tones are arpeggios again, but how I view chord tones is as more of a conceptual idea. This is what everything kind of relates back to. 20 years ago, in music education, people were absolutely obsessed by the modal scales. Everything was all about saying scales all over the neck. Now it's gone back to what they call chord tones or arpeggios. So I'm going to show you how I think about chord tones all over the neck. Basically, they are the framework that I relate all my bass lines to. So if we're working over, say, a G major 7 chord, I would refer back to everything over a G, a B, a D, and an F sharp. And that everything, regardless of what I play, will always be wanting to resolve to those notes. I like to see, if I'm playing over G major 7, I will see like G major 7 dots all over the fingerboard. It's like a little grid map of those dots. And if you relate everything back to there, what you were doing is how can I put it? Bringing out the harmony. You're literally giving the kind of the keynotes of all the harmonies, so you can really clearly hear the chords within your bass lines. If you play scales, there are many more notes to choose from in there, and they can kind of get lost in the scale. So how I view chord tones is, to put a sort of a bit of a metaphor to it, if you think of Indiana Jones and his rope bridges, you would have like 3 bits of rope and someone could walk across the bridge. They're what gives us enough sort of safety and security harmonically to make it to the other side safely. So I'm going to demonstrate how I would use chord tones. I'm going to play a groove, a similar groove. I'm just going to make the chord G major 7, so it's got that harmony in there. And I'm going to start playing some other stuff, but I'm constantly going to be referring back to the chord tone idea. So just to refresh, we're talking a G, a B, a D, and an F sharp. So you can hear I'm playing very strongly over the chord tones. I'm going to start pushing it out. Okay, what we can do next is we can start to push this a little bit outside. I'm going to improvise a little bit more over the top of this, and I'm going to start playing some notes which are completely out of the key center of G major, but pull them back in by resolving to chord tones. This is getting into a bit more a jazz improvisation, but you can see how strongly the chord tone idea works. So 1, 2. So you can see I was just kind of messing around with the idea, but everything I was doing, I was pulling back to these fundamental chord tones. And this is how you can start to get the inside-outside kind of jazz improvisation. So I know this is getting quite advanced here, but it's how you can get notes like C sharps working in the key of G major, for instance, is using these really strong chord tone ideas. But if you can understand chord tones, even going back to playing simple soul, pop, rock music, your playing will be that much stronger because you are literally, you are bringing out the harmony in your bass playing. So if there's a choice, if someone said to me, should I go away and learn the modes, or should I start learning chord tones and arpeggios and all that kind of thing? I would say learn chord tones any day of the week, okay? Chord tones are vastly more important than getting sucked into the modes and the all the modal scales and all that kind of thing, which so many guys start getting a bit freaked out because they don't understand it. The way I view it is a little bit of a pyramid. So you have your top level, which is your root note, your next level down, which is your chord tones, and all your information really is in there. And then you can go a level deeper into your scales and chromatics and all that kind of thing. Anyway, so today we've been talking about the difference, how I conceptualize the difference between triads, arpeggios and chord tones in my mind. I hope that's been a really helpful lesson. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please do give it a like or share. If you've got questions or comments, please do post them below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I've been James from eBassGuitar.com, and I will see you next time. Cheers for now.